can remember 9/11. Some of you maybe didn't mean a whole lot. But you older can remember flags were flying everywhere. Flags were flying on businesses, flags were flying on cars, flags were everywhere. Almost every household had a flag. In Huntington, West Virginia, you could not buy an American flag. They were sold out. What's happened? We've lost something. Yesterday was Flag Day. My preacher was out of town yesterday, and when he's out, I get to talk to the folk. I don't preach to them, I just talk to them. And after church service, I decided, I would wonder, in Milton, West Virginia, in my little community of Ona, West Virginia, we have about 23 houses on our little creek. We call it a branch. That even qualifies a creek. Wonder how many flags I can find flying. On Route 60, as we go through Milton, West Virginia, there are 50 flags flying on US Route 60 on every day that the flag is supposed to fly. But it's there because of one man. Joe McKnight was in the Navy. He was on board ship. For 3.5 years, he sailed the Pacific, never got back to the States. Joe and I were in the Rotary organization, and one day Joe said to me, we ought to put flags out on Route 60. I thought he'd lost his mind. But he had. And we did. And we fly them on all those flag days that we're supposed to fly flags. As I made my round through the city of Milton, driving the streets, and I drove up the holler to the end of the holler and my branch. All of the residents. I counted 35 flags. On February the 23rd, 1945 also, with Little Island, 5 Marines and a sailor. Got the job of putting a flag up on Mount Suribachi. When they hit that island, they didn't know they were going to have that chance. 3 of those individuals were later killed, but 3 survived the war and came home. But when that flag went up on Mount Suribachi, a photo was taken. I got a little notice on another piece of clothing. I've got a little flag, and the raising of the flag of the Eagle. But the next morning, all over the country, it was on the front page. We in the Pacific were having a tough time about that time because most of us had at least been in 2 combat operations, and some as many as 4. We knew our time was running out. We could only go through so many of those and the odds catch up. I believe that. That flag going up on Mount Suribachi that day not only raised the hope of all 3 of those in the Pacific, raised the hope of all Americans. There was a completely new attitude, a completely new feeling about the war because he had finally taken a piece of Japanese country. That was our first. Flying an aircraft over Vietnam, doing what he had been trained for, and the rocket came up and blew him out of the air. When he landed, he was captured, taken to Hanoi Hilton as a prisoner of war. For a long time, they kept all of them separated. They wouldn't even let them talk to each other or speak to each other. But eventually, they got more and more so, they began to let them hang out together in one room. Mike Christian realized, who's the captain? He realized that something was happening among his fellow fieldhouse. Some were giving up. When you give up the will to live, you give up life. So he decided he had to do something. And as he would go around the compound of the prison, he would gather up little bits of string, paper, he didn't dare let the business see that he had it. That would have been torture. He fashioned a needle out of a piece of bamboo. All they had was a tunic and trousers. That's all they were permitted to wear. By the light of the moon shining through an opening in the prison, a small window type thing, at night he began sewing something on the inside of his tunic. It turned out to look a little bit like a flag. So they would join together. And they would say the pledge of allegiance to that tunic that he would turn long side out with that wee little piece in there. He had sewn just over his heart. One day, the Vietnamese saw that flag, and they hauled Mike away to interrogate him and to interrogate them. And that torture. Bud Day, who was with him, and Admiral in the Navy, heard him screaming as others did. Finally brought him back to the group, threw him in his cell, and he was unconscious. They had no medicine. There was no way of easing his pain. His eyes were swollen shut. But in days, he began to recover. One night, Bud Day looked at Mike Christian where he was lying. There Mike Christian was again, sewing on the inside of his tunic by the light of that same moon another American flag.